Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of Preach the Finals. I'm very excited about this. This is going to be incredible. We have a very cool idea, which is to give you the mic. I want everyone that's in chat right now to really be down with the idea of jumping in our Discord server, coming in with some hot takes, whatever you want, so that you can join us. But who is us? It's not just me today. I'm joined by two incredible people, royalty, I would say, amongst the finals community, and they're going to hate that I've said that, but that's the truth. And right now, I wish that their faces would show up, because they should. Here we go. There we are, just a few button presses away. I have right here on my left, my right, I can't really work it out. I've got in the middle, right here, we have the UK Turncoat, a coach who is now a coach of the #1 side in North America. It's Sugi. Welcome on, Sugi. How are you feeling?
Howdy. How are you all doing?
Hey. Yeah, and then we've got another just incredible person right now, because he is taking time out of his busy schedule to be on here. His busy schedule includes maintaining the #1 seed in heavy hitters at the moment worldwide, which is an unbelievable feat to have achieved. It is AverageMan, the heavy main himself. How you doing, Average?
I'm doing good. The grind's going good as well.
Nice. Yeah, the grind's going good. So how many hours a day are you roughly putting into that grind at the moment?
Over 12, like minimum.
12
So
minimum.
much.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Well, thank you both for being here. And also, Suga, I didn't give you a chance to sort of chat a little bit about you, your experience. Of course, the less said about Cycle 3, the better. Made top 8, but came last. But you're still in first place. You're still in first place, tied first place with Unfazed. That Cycle 2 victory, though, must have been really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was with Vanguard back when Cycle 2 happened, but coming onto the team, helping with the boys, especially, I know Cycle 3 didn't quite go the way that we wanted it to. But it's one of those situations where you can practice, but when it comes down to game day, it's like you never know what could happen. And it's just one of those moments where it's just like, if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. And it's like we lost together. We've spent a lot of time in the practice like dojo, as it were, and we're just constantly scrimming, improving, just trying to do the best we can, especially with Cycle 4 this weekend.
That's a great mentality. And yeah, good luck with that at the weekend. I'm going to be tuned in as much as I can do. There's a horrible thing going on at the moment, which is that I basically have gigs almost always on a Saturday evening. So I can never watch the American stuff as it happens, but then I have to catch up afterwards. But yeah, I wish you all the best with that. Let's get moving straight on to our first topic. Obviously, if you are in chat right now and you're thinking you have something to say about this or about anything, do drop into our Discord server, just !Discord, or click the link upstairs. Upstairs? Yeah, it's pinned in chat. I've made a lot of things that I don't think are working properly. So just click on the link to the Discord. Hi there, Cody. If you click the link to the Discord, it will take you to the right channels, and you can pop your hot take, your topic, whatever you want to discuss in a channel in there called Caller Chat. We'll have a look at it. You can wait in the caller waiting room, and if we think it's good enough, then we may just drag you straight into the call. So be prepared for that if you hop into the caller waiting room. We'll try and coordinate things. First time doing this, might be a few technical hiccups, but we'll see how it goes. So first topic, guys. I am so happy. Patch 11.6 has come by, and we have had the redemption of Medium, right? It looks as though we are back to balance. It looks as though we are back to a place where maybe Medium has a place in the meta. But, of course, there's a lot to be said. It's very, very early on. I can see Sugi already. You're pulling faces. What do you think about this? Is it enough? And is it enough? Is it a good thing if Medium makes its way back into the meta in general?
Obviously, for me personally, Medium should always be a part of the meta. I feel like with a game as dynamic and as creative as the finals, as opposed to like other esports titles, it's a case of yes, having different metas such as heavy double light, heavy double medium, heavy light, heavy medium, etc. It all feels unique and different to what you would normally see, especially in like other team based or like hero shooters or so on and so forth. But with how much chaos there is in a game like the finals, and obviously with different health values and stuff, I feel that in a competitive ideal and in like my dream landscape, the meta should always be heavy, medium, light. I feel like with a lot of the changes to medium, they're sort of trying to bring some things up into parity, but as a whole, it's less so the weaponry on medium that really sort of struggles. A lot of medium's weapons, for the most part, are okay, if not good. You've got stuff like the 357 revolver, you've got the model, now you've got Cerberus as well. Repeater is still a really solid pick, but the problem is that outside of those sorts of poke and burst weapons, which everyone at this point is very familiar with and are probably tired of seeing as mediums like one and only meta. We haven't really had sort of like a hardwired tracking meta. And until mediums tracking options can really be brought on par with say heavy and lights, because obviously heavy you've got Shaq, you've got Lewis, we've seen pics of M60 and minigun, and like when you look at the weaponry across both heavy and light, they're in a lot more of a unique and a bit more of a balanced state, whereas I feel that medium's weaponry outside of the poke and burst weapons on the weaker side, which is really what's sort of holding them back in the whole
So,
weapon
so you're
diversity.
saying it could be basically we've seen buffs to the FAMAS, very small
Hmm.
buff to the AKM. The Cerberus seems to have a place at least casually with the recent buff, and that's enabled a kind of whole new play style. Well, not new play style. It's
Yeah.
that play style for mediums where you can be maximum mobility, triple DMAT, which of course has that buff now for
Hmm.
the quick response time. You can be up in people's faces, but that's not something that gels especially well at like the high comp level. I've seen it a lot in
Yeah.
my ranked games though. Average,
Mm.
have you been coming across more sort of crazy light style mediums? And do you have anything about that, like about what was Suki saying about the tracking, the fact that the mediums we could have it? Maybe we're just one big F car buff away from like a medium meta.
I do agree that the tracking weapons do need a buff to some degree because I just don't see tracking like that often. When I do it, just they just get out damaged. It's been a poke meta for so long. The
Yeah,
AKM, I did get a decent buff, so the AKM is like a pretty decent spot, but the FK still needs a bit of work there. But Embark just keeps like doing these micro changes, like 10 RPM changes every single patch. It's like it needs more done for it.
yeah.
And medium in general, though, the big picture is like I feel like the gadgets will need changes and also the specs because like kind of like overtakes medium's role of both healing and then also movement. They've got the gateway, they've got the H infuser, which isn't as strong anymore, the H infuser, but it's still kind of better at the force deals and such.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an option. I'm sorry, I am trying to make sure that our first call gets going, so I was a little bit blank there for a second. It seems as though Cody is very like keen to get jumping in it. I would love to have him in. I'm just rolling him up in the Discord, so maybe that can get going soon. Yeah, it's been exciting at the very least. Suki,
Mm.
obviously 11.6 was just gone, and we just had the top 16
Yes.
of AMER last weekend.
Mhm.
We've seen a lot of the time when these new patches come through, teams don't jump straight on the new toys. They stick with what's kind of safe because it's only a
Yep.
few days afterwards. Patch comes in on a Thursday, game day is Saturday. You don't necessarily want to be experimenting in that time. Is there a how did that pan out on Saturday? Was that did that kind of happen, or did people really jump into the new stuff, or was
I
there no
feel
new stuff at all?
like that's a really good question. I feel like the thing with especially at the higher end of the game, especially in sort of comp and especially the esports side with TGM qualifiers and so on, there's sort of periods of time where, say, a mid-season update like 11.6 comes out. You'll try, if you've got a coach like myself, for instance, for the Unfazed boys, I spent quite a lot of time in the practice range testing everything out for myself and then sort of obviously being a player as well as a coach and understanding the sort of the ideal of how you'd want something to work, there's times where you've just got to test it and it's like, hey, maybe try it for 2 or 3 maps in a block, sort of test, see how it feels. And the thing with the game at the state and the level that we're at now, especially in a competitive environment, you can sort of get a feel whether something's worth using within like the first couple of maps out of a block, or the first couple of ranked games or world tours that you play with it. It's the same with the ARN. It's like it only took me a little bit of time in the practice range to just go, okay, ARN's sort of back on the menu for light now, and it's able to have a little bit more freedom in terms of like your matchups when you run it. So I feel like there is sort of an essence of people hopping straight into it. I mean, I saw quite a few people swapping over to ARN in top 16 as well.
Okay.
We didn't really see much sort of Cerberus play or anything like that.
That's a shame.
Didn't really see much DMAT either. And I think the thing is if you're running as a single medium or as a single light, you sort of have to be in that healing role. You don't really get the freedom to sort of branch out and play DMAT or something like that. I suppose in a HML meta, you would probably see a bit more of DMAT, because in that sort of environment, the heavy can run Chuck and the light can run Infuser. There's a bit more freedom within HML, whereas I feel like with double heavy light and double heavy medium that we've seen, you don't really get that flexibility to be able to go, yeah, I'm going to go DMAT this game. So
yeah, you've got to be
a bit of a
very
shame.
set in your team strategy, and DMAT needs that kind of space for it to be everything that team works around. It's strange because I feel like on paper, you've got this kind of kiting meta, but it's a very slow one in a way, because heavies are able to sustain. They actually want more cover. And, they want to be working round doorways and things. DMAT kind of opens up the sandbox a little bit too much, you could argue. Anyway, we will sort of maybe circle back to this point. Have we finally stopped cutting out the middleman? Is medium back? But looks like jury's still out for the time being. I have a possible first caller who I'm gonna drag around a little bit so that he's very ready to get in on the action, and it is gonna be Cody. Cody, I'm gonna jump him in. Hold on, let's bring him in. Here we go. Hello, Cody. Are you there? Oh, he's muted in Discord.
Muted on Discord.
He's muted in Discord, but he's got a hot take. Or at least, a couple of really interesting things that I've seen in chat. I can't wait for him to tell us these as soon as he notices that he's in chat and he's like ready to be live. Cody, are you there? I'm gonna at him.
Your Discord is muted, by the way.
Cody. Maybe he's getting a drink. I don't know. AverageMan. You're a heavy, but you have had to adapt to being a meshy heavy in a gooey heavy in you're a gooey heavy in a meshy world, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's up.
Can you hear me? Hello?
I think we have Cody online. Sorry, AverageMan, I'm gonna have to cut you off. Cody, welcome.
Hi, just want to say big fan of the show, big fan of Sugi, AverageMan, Jerry. You guys are all great people. Love watching the show on my way over to work. Some of my favorite pastimes. I have a hot take, Jerry.
All right, go fire away.
I think that they need to swap some specs and gadgets and weapons to different classes. I think we should put the KS-23 on light, guys.
KS-23 on light. Okay.
Yeah.
Defend yourself before we attack.
So there's kind of a design philosophy that the finals once had, and I think we've strayed away from it, and I think that's a big problem that we've run into, right? Medium was supposed to be the all-around balanced class, doing some supporting and right, jack of all trades, master of none. Light was supposed to be the get in, get out, do a lot of damage, but you're really weak. And then the heavy is taking space and, being that tank, right? That thing that gets in the way. And so you gave the light the H+, that's a problem, right? We got to put that back on medium.
I could get behind,
and I think the KS.
I could get behind medium's heal beam just being replaced by the H+. I think just give the heal beam, make the heal beam like 5 times as small and give it to the light if they really want a healing option, so that they can take time over their heals, and then the mediums get the quick burst healing.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think like the heavy needs the P90. I don't think the P90 should be on the medium.
Okay, all right. We need to calm down a little bit, but sorry, just taking
Sorry,
a
I'm
sip.
so passionate. Sorry, Jared.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We love the passion. Average. What are your first thoughts about that?
The healing idea I like. Heavy P90. I feel like heavy does need something to like. I mean, M60 kind of does but I'm trying to think now. Does heavy need like a easy recoil weapon?
Would you even use it? Is the question, Average?
Also, yeah, what do you use? You have like Shaq, you have KS. I mean,
well, you would just use Sledge no matter what. Like,
well, I was use Sledge no matter what. Yeah, but would other heavies not just run the better weapons?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Sugi, anything?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when it comes to healing beam, it's one of those things where I sort of called it back when season was it 7 or 8?
Was 7, yeah.
7. And I remember that there was a clip that I posted of the original H plus that me and you both debated back in the day, Jerry. And I knew full well that the second that we started adding healing to other classes, we would slowly start to see medium get sort of cannibalized and pushed out of the meta.
Yeah.
Medium was already in sort of like
that.
a rough spot as it was.
I remember that discussion because we were talking. I was saying I was kind of on the floor of, well, it's not the worst idea, but it looks way too powerful, and it absolutely was too powerful to be with. It probably still is too powerful. Cody, we've just sort of, you're still on the line. Was there okay? I think we skipped past one of the most egregious things that you said, which is KS23 on lights.
Yeah.
Please explain why the KS23 should be on the lights.
All right. So nobody likes the DB, right? Can we establish that?
Yeah, that's fair. I think double barrel players could go die in a hole. How has Typo managed to get into this call? Typo, get out of here. I didn't even know he had the role. Sorry, continue, Cody.
You're fine. So nobody likes the DB, right? It's lame, but the KS23, maybe make it a 2-shot like the DB, but it's just the KS23. You don't give it to a heavy, you give it to a light that you can kill almost instantaneously. Then it makes way more sense of the strength that it has. It also gives the light a way to damage environments really well and could potentially bring a lot of utility to the class.
Okay, cool. Let me just do this. I think I've fixed the perms. Okay, now people got to just waltz their way on into the call like they're storming into the production studio. We do love Typo. But he was thoroughly unwelcome right that second. Okay. Yeah, Sugi, I can see you thinking.
I feel like with putting something like Chaos on light, you already have something like the Matter, for instance, and I remember the Matter originally used to have really good destructive damage. So I feel like instead of sort of removing the SH1900, which I think right now people are really sleeping on it, I think we're back to literally it's season 1 cloak meta all over again, but no one's willing to take it. Because Invis is stronger than it's ever been. The SH1900 is stronger now than it was in season 1 pre-nerf. And I feel like if there were to be any changes to like shotguns, I would just say buff the destructive damage on the M26 just to sort of bring it back up to what it used to be.
The M26, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of like forgotten weapons in the game, or weapons that have just kind of fell by the wayside. The M26 was one of those ones because it came out at release alongside the Lewis gun, it's always been just like the worst alternative to that in most metas. But I think they've done a good job since then of only ever bringing out weapons that have a very unique place. The repeater's a really good example, right? It's not just an alternative to the pike. It feels very different. It plays very different. Has different kind of damage situations where it's more optimal. What do you think?
I do have to go, but I'm going to leave you guys with one more little tidbit.
That's cool. We do have another call awaiting, so that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. I think Gateway should go to medium. All right, guys. Good luck with that. Yeah, good luck with that one.
You know what? Thank you so much, Cody, for popping by, and have a safe evening.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, you too.
Gateway to medium, I could absolutely get behind, guys. I feel like I mentioned that to him. That was my idea, and he stole it. Anyway, we're gonna drag another person in, with another take. We're staying on the meta discussion for the start of this. This is the main topic of the day: medium mania. Have we finally stopped cutting out the middleman? Cringy. Hello and welcome. What is your take, and how are you doing?
Hello. Cringy, obviously, that's my name. But
Hi.
my take is that semi-automatic weapons, lever action weapons, single action weapons, so we're talking like things like pike, LH1, repeater, KS, revolvers, and whatnot, should be dramatically redesigned or just removed from the game.
All right. That's a spicy one. I thought that the first thing that people were going to say needs to be removed from the game was melee. That's the common trope, isn't it? And that's kind of why I got AverageMan on here to defend you, or to defend that. I expect he will actually quite like this idea that you've suggested. So I'm going to throw to AverageMan. How do you feel? maybe I'm just completely misprofiling. How do you feel about removing any lever action, or like, is it like slow semi-automatic weapons, essentially? Just the slow firing rifles?
Just anything that does like high burst damage, or anything that I guess
There isn't
has
a
like a
shotgun.
massive crit multiplier.
Yeah. So you've got like Pike, LH1, KS23, Repeater, those sorts of ones. Average, how do you feel?
Well, not remover, but as you said, redesigning. I feel like that should happen to a degree. I feel like it's many balance changes. Like the LH1, for example, the headshot multiplier is filthy. Just 2-tap light in the head and such, 75 damage per shot, fast fire rate. For the rest of the weapons, like, I'm kind of sick of poke meta. I'm kind of biased as a melee player because, there's big gaps I have to traverse and I can't do anything to defend myself. But like, oh, it's just so annoying when you go into the open and just get one shot. Your health is like already
Don't go
mostly
into the
gone.
open. That's the counter. Don't go into the open. It's a dangerous
if you're
land
on a
out there.
bad map, that's the issue. For example, Monaco or Fangwai, if you're in like the pond area or the forest, then you're just
How
cooked for those points.
first of all, massive raid from Perzone. Thank you so much for jumping in. Hello there, everyone that's just joined us. This is Preach the Finals. We've got a caller on the line right now. It's Cringy, who has just suggested that we massively redesign or rebalance all lever action weapons. Anything with like high burst damage, it's just like single shot, LH1, repeater, revolvers, KS23. Average, don't go out in the open. That's one thing I would say. The second thing is actually, if you're talking about the bad maps, right? We will get onto maps later. We actually have a whole segment about maps, but maybe there's like map specific balancing, which sounds insane. That's the kind of thing I would expect to see on Reddit. Is you load into Kyoto and your repeater gets nerfed. It does less damage in Japan. Is that at all? I feel like I've gone very far away from the original point, Cringy, that you were suggesting.
I mean, it's a take, I guess. I don't know.
It's a take. That's what we're here for. We're here for takes. Sugi, you've been keeping your mouth shut.
Yeah, I mean, this is like my most like controversial, shall I say, take. I feel like every single one of the weapons in this game should have nothing higher than an absolute most of 1.75 headshot multiplier. I feel like 2x is, for the longest time, a 2x headshot multi is the biggest problem with quite a lot of the single action weapons. Stuff like repeater, revolver, LH, sniper. In fact, actually, sniper could keep its 2x because
I think sniper has to have
its.
That has to be special, right?
Yeah. But with stuff like most of the single shot poke weapons, the DMRs, I feel like they just don't need the 2x headshot multiplier at all. I feel like there's other ways that you could tune and adjust them, sort of bring their headshot strength down. I mean, look at the pike, for instance. The pike for the longest time was one of the most insanely oppressive and broken weapons of all time. But Embark realized, hey, the weapon's fallen out of favor because repeater and revolver do its job better. So what we're going to do is we're going to marginally increase its headshot multi without making it broken. And I feel like they could do that to quite a lot of the other single shot weapons without sort of destroying them. And they could give them compensatory buffs after the fact. But I feel like just tuning stuff away from that 2x would solve quite a lot of issues, because it's what, a 3-tap on a heavy with a revolver, which I think is a bit crazy.
There's something obviously that's kind of, this is all against the backdrop of the fact that we know respec order has been tested a few times, and the changes to health, baseline health for all three archetypes, you know, light bumping up from 150 to 175, and then heavy being bumped down from 350 to 325. And they were talking about when they did the second respec order, where they also brought in some balancing changes to go along with it, that would make a lot of these sort of breakpoints a lot more easy to balance around, particularly when it came to these headshot multipliers. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there and say that it does seem like there's a thought towards making these things feel a bit fairer, and at least making the balancing easier, because that's the whole thing, is like that width of HP, that was what they were talking about, was it's 200 between the light and the heavy right now. If they bring it down to 150, then suddenly all of these breakpoints become a lot easier to balance around. Cringy, I think I am going to give you one last poke if you want to annoy me or any of us anymore. And then just remind everyone that's waiting, that's just joined, that if you want to be in this show, you can join. You can click the link at the top of the chat. It's a link to join this Discord, where you can post your hot topic, your hot take, and have an opportunity to be on stream and have your thoughts dissected and attacked or agreed with. You know, maybe we'll be nice to you. But yeah, Cringy, is there anything else you want to say before heading off?
I mostly agree with some of the takes that Sugi made, and I also want to introduce more, I guess. I like numbers a lot, so like I fiddle around with like TTKs and whatnot. So I want to introduce more shots for, I guess, these weapons. Because currently it takes, like, depends on the weapon, like 3 or 4 shots for a kill. But that's just my take. Like I said, that's just all I have to say.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you very much, Cringy, for coming on here. Perzone has asked, why is every single ginger in the finals on my screen? I don't know if AverageMan counts as ginger, by the way.
Blonde.
I think that's more of a blonde. The lighting in your room right now, Sugi, is not doing justice to the ginger.
The color grading and everything else on the camera as well is really not doing me any favors either. But yeah, I mean, hey,
we need to get Nakost on at some point as well, so that we've got like the boldies. Is there another? There's got to be another big boldie in the finals that I'm forgetting right at this moment.
Stuj's bald. Actually, yeah.
Is he? I didn't know that. All right. Well, maybe we'll get Stuj on at some point. All right. There we go. We are going to move on from this topic, though. We have a couple of other things to talk about. So, first up is let me just get everything ready. Again, first time doing this, guys. There's going to be a little bit of like, you know, teething problems, but I think everything should be working out quite well now. So let's just see if this works. Hey. Oh, okay. There's step 1. Map voting. Does the finals need it yet? And this is in reference to a tweet that was put out, or a post. It was on all sorts of socials as well, by TF Fault. Massive fan of TF Fault here, by the way. Love everything they do. They make all these really cool graphics and like just infographics and other stuff for the game. Whenever there's balance patches, I love their little graphics that show what's come up, what's come down. It's a great little digestible thing. Exactly what the scene needs. And they put out this tweet. So I'm just going to read it to you first. Concept: map voting for ranked cash out and quick cash. I present to you a functional in inverted commas, map voting UI concept for all cash-out modes. This works the same as the current map selection in Overwatch. I think there's a couple of other games that run similar systems like this, but that's the reference point he's chosen. Here's how it works. Unanimous vote, if all voting players select the same map, it skips the roulette and instantly locks in. And mixed votes, if the votes are split, then the system rolls a weighted roulette based on the lobby's percentage. It spins a wheel. Would you want this feature added? And I'll just play the video in the background here. It's got some nice music and stuff, but you can kind of see what's going on for the moment, at least. Little countdown here. Kyoto's up there. Nozomi Citadel's being hovered. People really want to play Monaco. Not sure what that's about. But yeah, and that looks like a unanimous vote for Monaco. So this is a really interesting and well prototyped view of what might happen. I have a few thoughts on this. But I wanted to see what you guys thought. First impressions, AverageMan, particularly when it comes to just this working in ranked and in casual, wherever it might show up.
100%. I am all for
like
it.
Okay.
I am so sick of getting some awful maps over and over and over again.
All right. Tell us why this. Okay, so you're for this. What is good about this system then, in particular?
You just stop being some like awfully designed maps. The amount of times you get Kyoto in ranked, Kyoto is still in ranked after all these seasons. Oh, if I can never see the map again, life is good. Life is just good, especially for Sledge. For me specifically, because some maps are just longer range. So
so that's an interesting point. It's not just about what maps are, icky or whatever. Like strategically, you could be going into this and thinking, actually, we're playing this comp. I'm playing this weapon. I want to go here. Sugi, what do you think about this? Map voting, yes or no?
Please, for everything that is holy Embark, please just give me map voting. I don't care if it's not in World Tour. I don't care if it's not in Cash Out. Just please add it to ranked, and also add it into customs as well. Make it something that happens in game, so we don't have to do it as a third party. And we don't have to do it externally, so we can host it all internally. Everything's done through the game. It makes it so much easier for production as well. Same as like sort of scrims or like any third-party tournament organizers as well, or just anyone that wants to host like a custom tournament that isn't sort of like an organization or like a known TO. For me, there is so many maps that have sort of fallen by the wayside in terms of design language, in terms of how finals maps are designed. I mean, you can sort of see a clear design identity across, say, the last 4 maps that have come into the game. They've got like a very finalsy way about them. I think we've noticed that with a lot of the modern recreations, such as Monaco, such as Bernal, etc., they all feel less finalsy, if that makes sense. They feel not really designed for how the game works on like a individual level. Obviously, you got your destructions and your pads and your zips and so on, but I feel like with map voting, it will just eliminate that sort of random chaoticness and play on the maps that are more catered to how the game's designed.
Okay, so part of the argument is that there is a small selection of maps that don't feel as competitive. Is that something that that map voting should be used for, or is that something where we just have a slimmer ranked map pool? For instance, you cut out the ones that are essentially, that people would not want to play in ranked, that don't show up whenever you have comp tournaments, that people like, we never saw Kyoto picked like once when it was an option for basically half a year in the comp scene, and that now there are, but we always saw the other maps. We always saw a little bit at least of the other maps. There, at the moment in the comp scene, of course, there's a kind of random element to it. You get to ban a selection of maps, and then the remainder get randomly selected from, which again is a system that has its pros and cons. There's a lot of ways to implement this, is what I'm talking about. I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute and say that there's definitely a kind of technical limitation to doing this in terms of loading times and loading, like just the amount of stuff that goes on under the hood. If you implement this in your game, your wait times for games, and therefore the game length, and therefore queue times, get longer. Because every single ranked game that happens, there's going to be this poll that happens, presumably it's up to all, like, 48 people or 36 people in the... I can't do maths. However many people... It's a lot of people to do a map vote. Which is, like, compared to other games, you don't get that because you don't queue up for a whole tournament. You just queue up for a 5v5 or whatever. So there's that element. There's a lot of... I mean, that's probably not too difficult to manage, but lots of loading goes on behind the scenes, doesn't it? And I can imagine there's a few other technical things that I'm not a dev. There's probably a few other technical things that make this very difficult to do. But in principle, I think I would love to see something like this. My take is I don't think the game needs it yet. I think that there are enough good maps and enough variety that I would be happy to see, instead of this, just a simple narrowed ranked map pool. So yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. We do have some callers potentially on the line, but I'm going to hand it over to Average because I've been talking for a while and Sugi's been talking for a while. Has that discussion changed your mind at all? You were like 100% in on this to begin with, right?
I feel like potentially, yeah, because in like comp, you usually just get like Nozomi and Fortune Stadium are basically like the two map picks. So I feel like, but no, the system has a limit to like 3. That's they're proposing. So I feel like if we keep at that, like you have like a small pool of the choice, I feel like then it's still fine, because you won't get like the same maps every time. So there'll still be variety. We also don't get like the awful maps no one wants to play. So I still feel like I feel like it's a good system still with the 3 different maps.
We've got a remove Kyoto from ranked immediately as a first-time chat from
That is
Silver
also a good
R5.
idea.
I think a lot of people just want to see that happen. Like, there's so many people that just want to see that happen. There are interestingly sort of cautionary tales. We've seen this happen in Overwatch, and it gets a very mixed reception. It gets a very mixed reception because it not being done correctly can make things worse than you expect. So I trust that Embark are probably looking at these examples and they have toyed around with the idea. But there's always that kind of philosophy of, we love every single map that we put into the game. Do we really want to be limiting the people's exposure to, Kyoto? Not, obviously Kyoto has its flaws, but it is also undoubtedly one of the most beautiful maps in the game, and you're denying a lot of people that experience if they jump into ranked and they never get to play it there, which, maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, but we'll see. We're going to go to a very short break, everyone. So don't go too far. It's just going to be a quick little break. But when we come back, we're going to have a lot more to talk about. We're going to move on from this map voting topic. We're going to have more calls. We're going to do a Worst Tweets of the Week award. And we also have a fun quiz where we have to guess the fake Reddit post. So a lot more games and excitement after the break. Don't go too far. We'll be back in just a few. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. So thank you for bearing with us during that very short break. We are going to do some more stuff now. So I thought I had this ready, but I didn't go to the right screen. So just bear with me. Yes, first thing we're going to do is a new segment. I mean, everything's a new segment, obviously, because it's a new show. But this is a segment that I like to call the Worst Finals Tweet of the Week award. And it goes to Louis Bouillon on Twitch, which is his name on Twitter. Bizarrely. I don't know why that's the case, but that's what it is. With this brilliant tweet, the Kings of SA tier list, inspired by Llama _ the finals. This tweet just gets worse the longer you look at it. It really does. So the less said about it, the better. But everyone in the comments is saying 12-16 shotgun. Yep. You might want to rephrase that, mate. This was a particular favorite of mine from Sugi. No, Louis, don't shorten SA 12-16, Louis. Yeah. Not the most ideal thing to be tweeting in the finals community, but you live and learn. Louis Bouillon, don't ever change that microphone. We love it. All right, let's drag Gels in because we have some more callers, guys. All right, there we are. Welcome, Gels. How are you doing? And what is your hot take or thoughts about the finals?
Okay, my hot take is basically that status effects such as motion sensors, even tracking data at times, and glitch grenade, especially glitch trap, are way too strong. So glitch effects, as it stands, are such an immense shutdown that it's too harsh. For example, let's say you play mesh, and your mesh being glitched and your teammates behind the mesh shield is way too harsh of a counter, in my opinion.
Ooh. Okay, so and specifically glitch feels like it's the sticking point here, right? Glitch is we've just come out of a meta, particularly in the comp scene, where almost the full value of the light class is invested in that glitch. So I'm not too, it's a good time to be a glitch enemy, Sugi, but is that overselling it? Is there a world where glitch should continue to have the power that it does?
I feel like with glitch is sort of a gadget. It's one of those things where it's very, very potent. I do feel that most of this is not just exclusive to light. I feel like quite a lot of the util could be brought to one charge as opposed to having multiple. Obviously stuff like specs and stuff like that. Obviously if they're multi-charge, whatever, keep it multi-charge. But I feel like glitch in its current form is kind of a necessary evil the entire time that we have double stacking heavies with double mesh shields and double bubbles and so on and so forth. I do feel like there could be an argument made that glitch does get nerfed. But I feel like in terms of duration and stuff like that as well, I do feel like it's at an okay point now. And obviously, I feel like duration and stuff like that, if you were to keep it a 2 count, sort of dial back its duration.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think, Giles?
About that, I have one particular change in mind, which is basically just a revert, which is, for me specifically, it comes out of a place of bias, as well as a friend of mine who quit the game because of glitch hard countering his playstyle, which is Mesh Sledge.
Okay.
As it stands, if you're playing Mesh Sledge, it'll be just like, oh, I'll just have my mesh open. And then the glitch instantly detonating on the mesh without any interaction, where it's like, if it were, for example, to bounce on the mesh, and it would be a placement game of the glitch needs to be chucked at my feet, and I have possibly time to slide into cover, or like any interaction of like outplaying the glitch grenade that it actually needs to be aimed.
Being able to follow up with like a barricade or what have you,
For example, anything, literally anything. But as it stands, it's just like it insta popping on mesh shield or on dome shield is just, I find, unhealthy. As in, if it was to detonate and glitch the mesh player or the dome, whatever, in that case, by landing next to it, just going through the full fuse time, I could see it. But as it stands, there is basically no fuse time.
Here's my thought, right? We've just come out of a meta where double mesh is nigh on impenetrable. Like, you have to be bringing it as a heavy. And that's despite the existence of the current glitch grenade, which you're saying is like way too powerful. Can you imagine how much worse the past meta would have been with double mesh KS23s all over the place and no means of cracking that nut? Like, the glitch doesn't do it. or the glitch maybe only disables your other cooldowns, or maybe it only closes the mesh or disables your specialization, but you still have access to the gadgets or what have you. Like, I think if glitch
I can,
gets weaker,
yeah.
then you've got a problem.
No, that I can see. I can absolutely agree that it's like basically a necessary evil for double mesh, but I would go as far as saying in a healthier version of this game, if we get there where HML is basically the ideal comp that is played, where like Embark stated in the past that they want more shield counters. So let's say medium has an option to break shields in the future with a, for example, what I've seen as a suggestion, so some quirky weapons like CL having more damage on shields or
I would
something.
love that.
With
Please.
some like
the number of times I've tried to deny a steal with the CL40 and you just can't do it because of the dome shield.
yeah.
Like, you just can't do it. There's no answer to it because the CL40 won't be able to burst through the dome. And if you go in close, then you're blowing yourself up. And there's a heavy there who
Yeah.
has more health than you, stealing. So it's just an impossible barrier.
I
Yeah,
think
you know what?
like
I'm with
soft
you. Can we
count-
attach the glitch grenade to the CL40? I want to see that in game. That'd be incredible.
No, my point is more so I think like soft counters like such as minigun, melee, and just like sort of flamethrower are far like more interactive than just like, oh, my mesh is the gun now I can't play the game for the next 6 seconds. Like,
It
there's
feels as though
better ways.
the biggest thing here is we're in a space where medium doesn't have any load bearing gadgets, load bearing weapons in terms of the meta, but the glitch grenade, the H plus infuser kind of, and then the dome on the heavy and the mesh on the heavy, they are load bearing pillars around which everything is balanced. And for medium, that was once maybe the heal beam, but because the H plus infuser didn't exist, or maybe the defibs, but now those are kind of irrelevant. So that's the issue, is that I think I agree with you in a sense. I would love to see mediums having a kind of a silver bullet against those shields, the same way that the glitch is. Maybe not as powerful as glitch.
I mean,
but then
as
that
it
brings in more variety in
stands,
itself.
as it stands, you kind of have glitch trap, which is again you just if you force engagements or you can quite literally chuck it at the heavy, you force them to move array. It kind of works as well, so it's okay. But then
And the
again,
data
it's not your
reshaper
job
got
to take.
they're trying. They buffed the data reshaper to counter domes as well, right? But that
Oh,
hasn't had the effect. So
right. One more point I have for that, real
yeah,
quick,
go on.
if you don't mind.
Yep, nice.
I'd love to see a resource rework on the data reshaper, because as it stands, Embark stated in the patch notes when they nerfed the reshaper from 3 ammo to 2 ammo, they said, oh, we wanted to not hardcode the specializations. So if you play turret, you don't want your turret obviously to instantly get one tapped, basically. So they said, oh, we're nerfing the reshaper to 2 ammo, like that doesn't really change the interaction. For which I have the idea that you basically make the reshaper use percentage, like you have the same cloak drain, like as a concept where if you use it on something more valuable, you use more. It's like a bar basically. So if you, let's say you reshape a turret, you use, let's say, 90% of your entire resource, or if you only reshape a barrel, you only use 20%, for example.
Yeah, I could see that as a possible solution. All right, well, thank you very much, Chels. That was a really
Yeah.
interesting conversation. You may be one of our favorite callers so far, just for the quality of sort of analysis
Appreciate it.
and stuff. Have you considered a job as a desk analyst in a esport broadcast? No. But anyway, thank you very much for coming along, Chels. It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Lovely. Average. I'm going to hand it over to you for just a little bit to yap. Was there anything... There was a lot of brainstorming going on there. Was there anything that caught your ear?
First of all, the not reshaper change. I actually really like that idea. I haven't had it before. I really like that. That's actually a good idea. But for the dome like glitches, if it wasn't for the current meta of like the double heavy mesh shield, I like the idea of like they have 2 charges, so they can use 1 charge to like give the dome, but then that only gives the dome or the mesh, and then doesn't give like actual specs for the people inside it. So then like they can use a 2nd charge to give that if they want to. So it like gives more options there. That could be a potential change.
All right. Sugi, was there anything towards the end of that you thought was particularly interesting?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot that could be said for sort of the weaponry on the classes in the game, as well as like the gadgets. When it comes to stuff such as Reshaper, I feel like at this point, just let Reshaper operate like a glitch nade. You know, it's like if there's a heavy holding a mesh, it's like let me just reshape that on your arm and it just gets glitched or something like that. It's like if a winch is flying midair towards you, you can just reshape it and bring it back and stop it from hitting, that sort of thing. Obviously, I feel like something like charge you can't really counter it and so on. But I feel like there is a world where you could have some more unique and interesting interactions that would with something like Reshaper that would make the game a bit more dynamic from like Medium's perspective.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're going to move on from that one. I liked our chat about the maps as well. We're going to move on to now a really interesting article that came out in the past few days. So let's just bring this up. Hold on, boys. Again, this is the point where I'm like, I really should have just got a producer on. It would have been so much smoother just to have a producer. But no, we're gonna see this through. So over on this screen, where that's going to disappear for a second time, we have. There it is. A really interesting article that was posted recently by Doohyun Blit Lee, who I believe. Oh wow, I've just thrown everything up on screen at once. Let's ignore that. There we go. This is about the anti-cheat. So there's been a lot of discussion about the anti-cheat in the finals fairly recently. Of course, anyone who's been sort of locked into the scene recently and what the devs have been saying will know that they are working on their own in-house anti-cheat. That is, what's it called? Eltira or something like that? It's Elytra, yeah, Elytra. That's the same problem I had with Ngmo. I kept calling it Enigmo whenever I first heard was reading it a lot. Yeah, so Elytra is their new in-house anti-cheat. They've been working using easy anti-cheat for the last several years, but this is a really interesting article. It talks about how there was a presentation given at DevCon a few days ago, or within the last week, in Germany. The article was written by a Korean, but this has been like auto-translated, so there may be some bits and pieces that are slightly odd. But I'm going to read you the first bit of it, and then after that, I'm just going to kind of summarize what's going on, because it's, yeah, like I said, if you haven't seen this interview or this article about the presentation, do give it a look. It is really, really interesting. I've lost the link where I've done something. Hold on, guys. There it is. Okay, so yeah, I'll read this first bit. Embark Studios has abandoned its anti-cheat strategy focused on protecting game files, shifting its center of gravity towards player telemetry analysis. Speaking at anti-cheat at Embark Studios at DevCon in Germany on August 24th, Embark Studios senior software engineer Tom van Dyke detailed 3 years of trial and error since establishing the studio's anti-cheat team in 2022. And then it just talks about his like he's done a lot. He's got acumen, and then it mentioned that there's only 350 people that will run Embark. That's across both Arc Raiders and the finals. Incredible. Like that doesn't get mentioned or the praises sung enough. Anyway, if you reading this scroll down, you'll see it's a really long article. It talks a lot about the operating systems not being ideal. You know, they've got to do a lot of stuff. Hardware-based cheats are growing cheaper. There's a massive cheating industry that exists. This guy estimates it at about $8 billion. They've got like full corporations with employees and stuff. Yeah, it's a really interesting one. The main sort of push of the article is that, interestingly, they've changed their like recruitment strategy. They're going towards data analysis, so that they collect data on the games that are going on and use that to sort of to find out whether people are cheating or not. And they say also like it's invasive. They kind of agree that, but they say like the cheats are already invasive. You know, if cheaters let you in at a kernel level, then we kind of have to do that too. Anyway, Elytra is operating kind of in the background. They're making sure that it's stable before a launch in Season 12. The bit that I'm interested in, then that I think we can have a good discussion about, is the community sentiment. And I'll scroll down to it in the actual article, because it's really interesting. The community sentiment is also an anti-cheat battleground. Okay, so he talks about basically how people will be posting complete lies because that is what cheaters want to do. They want to kind of amplify the notion that there are lots of false bans going on. And if that claim is repeated enough, then it'll get kind of spread throughout the media. Embark have said that their policy, and I'll read this bit word for word, their policy is not to refute individual claims publicly. Reading directly from a prepared statement, he said, "Experience has taught us that arguing with users in public forums is an endless, thankless task. Instead, we choose to broadly communicate how confident we are in our solutions." I love that. I think that's like the most alpha move you could possibly have. It's a really kind of upfront way of saying, yeah, look, we trust that our anti-cheat is doing the work it needs to. It's working in ways that it needs to because it has to be this invasive. Yeah. What are your thoughts, guys? I really hope that other people are going to call in about this, because I really want to hear your thoughts as well. If you're in chat and you're thinking, I have something to say about this. If you're a cheater and you want to come in here and shout at us, absolutely do that. I want to argue with you. But Sugi, we'll go with you first. How do you feel about this?
I mean, for me as a whole, I welcome any sort of new anti-cheat edition. I feel like for the longest time, the game has kind of, like, don't get me wrong, it's been okay. It's been in a good spot. However, with Arc in the finals, they both share the same engine, similar code bases, and obviously with UE5 being a very sort of cookie cutter engine that a lot of different game companies can use, there's just this level of behind the scenes that I understand when someone's cheating, because I can notice it from sort of the lower end. Everyone thinks everyone is cheating, and that's also part and parcel with the whole cheating's a massive multi-billion-dollar industry. Excuse me. I feel like at this point, I don't care if I have to give over my credit card info, my date of birth, my address, my entire bloodline, my entire genetic.
You just want to play the game.
I just want to play the game where I know I'm not getting scammed.
Yeah.
Whether that be from people using third-party accessibility tools, as people love to call them, or
it's macros.
DMA
They're just
cards and
macros.
so on.
They're cheats.
Yeah. It's like I just want to play a game where my time is valued.
Yeah.
And that I'm not getting just scammed, essentially.
Yeah. Average. I don't know how it would be possible to cheat while playing a sledgehammer. So
walls mainly.
Walls, yeah, it would be walls.
Yeah, walls.
It would be walls. But there's an interesting thing about walls in this. Well, actually, in the chat, Enigma was saying in Rust. Face Puncher, there's actually implemented an interesting feature known as player culling. Instead of letting the user's PC render everything, the game relies on server-checked line of sight to determine whether player data should even be sent, effectively making wall hack impossible. Now, I'm not 100% on this, but I did read this entire article earlier. I'm just scanning it because there was something similar involved. Someone asked during this presentation about a particular type of cheating, and they said it's literally impossible in our game because of how the game works. So I think it was to do with movement.
Yes.
Yeah. So movement, speed, hack. Here it is. In finals, player movement, environment destruction, and physics are all handled server side, making movement speed hacks impossible. Arc Raiders also validates movement on the server. So yeah, there's a lot of kind of tech jargon that honestly a lot of it goes over my head. I don't know enough. But that, at least it sounds like there's certain things that just can't be done in this game. Walls though, that's that would require what Enigma's talking about with the culling, player culling thing that they do in Rust, which obviously if you haven't built that in from the ground up, then you can't just implement that all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we don't have anything such as like fly hacking or anything like that. That's a miracle. I mean, the biggest sort of, going back to the whole sort of like worries and any sort of problems I may have with like any sort of new added anti-cheat function, especially as something as not humanly controlled as machine learning. I feel like what most people would consider inhuman and could be perceived as cheating, people can replicate it.
Yeah.
And people can do it physically. I
Yeah.
mean, there was a
This is the scary thing about it. That is the
whole
best
sort of
players
thing around it.
the best players in the world are becoming less like humans and more like robots. And
Yeah.
at the same time, the best cheats are becoming less like robots and more humanized because they're pulling data from humans and that, you know, they're AI assisted now and they just gather that. So that window of what can be expected to be done by, you know, what distinguishes a human from a player is getting narrower. And so yeah, the interesting thing in this article about it for me is that data analysis size. They collect so much data. There's a bit where they say about 99% of the data they collect on players is useless. So they need data analysts that are fucking geniuses to be able to parse that data and develop systems that parse that data so that it can be useful. Because there's no point trying to fight it on like a kind of programming level. You've got to be able to detect the results instead of trying to prevent the causes, because that's just fighting a losing battle at this point. I find it really interesting. And it's honestly, if you haven't gone and read this article, we've only scratched the surface here. But I do think it's quite heavy material. So I'm going to move us on to something a little bit lighter now. Before I do so, we do have time for maybe one more caller towards the end of the show. So if you are interested, if anything we've said throughout the whole of the show, whether it's to do with the anti-cheat, whether it's to do with the map voting, whether it's to do with mediums, particularly getting back into the meta potentially, at least on a casual level, or anything that we've mentioned, do jump into the Discord server, pop your topic in the channel called Caller Chat, and we have our eyes on it right now. Just seeing, you know, if you have a good enough point, we will drag you into the call. You can be live on the show with us and say your piece. We want to give you the microphone. That's the whole point of this thing. We're preaching the finals, guys.
Brisket must be something in the culture, by the way.
Brisket has?
He has to, and I'm just saying that he has.
Brisket has to. You know what? Yeah,
we
have
to. 1 point before Brisket comes in on the.
Oh, you want to attack Brisket before he's even here?
Oh no! I don't know.
No! I'm encouraging it. Go for it right now.
So he does specify that thanks to tools like Claude and Codex, solutions that take years now can be built in a short time. That point does scare me about the possibility of false bans, because Claude and Codex, like AI coding systems, they do make mistakes. That's the one thing that like I took a big note on.
I had a good chat with Waltz in the what's it called? The Mama Gerbil server, the Woke org. What they call it? The Burrow. That's it. I had a good chat in there. The Woke org. Yeah, they wear that with pride. I had a good chat with Waltz. Oh no, I didn't have a good chat with Waltz. I just said hi, but he was having a good chat with some others about the horridness of vibe coding, and how it sort of worked its way into the corporate world. And I'm glad I don't have to deal with that for the most part in my like day job. It's just music. We make the good sounds, and as long as it's made by people, that's great. But yeah, obviously AI music. That's a whole other thing. I'm not going to preach or anti-preach that here. For now, who knows? Episode 4, I'll have a big rant about Suno and Spotify ready. Don't worry. Okay, Brisket, I think we will... let's bring you in now, in fact. We're going to bring Brisket in now while Average is fired up and ready to shoot back. Yeah, Average, you are going to be on the front lines here, defending or attacking Sugi, whatever it might be. I'm almost going to open the floor, the boxing ring to you guys. But first, Brisket, hello and welcome to the stream.
Hello.
You have a take, and it's very relevant. Bear in mind, before just to frame this take, before you say it, you are talking to the #1 heavy hitters player in the world, right over there.
Look at Mr. Least flexing his arms. Oh.
So proceed with caution. All right, floor is yours.
Alright, so basically a couple of days ago, there's a couple of friends of mine that barely played the game. Were like, said like, fuck it, let's play the finals. And we did play like a fair amount of the LTMs. You know, well, fuck the it's like Point Break, Cash Out, whatever. And because of the matchmaking in this game and like how a lot of the player base are like quite seasoned, it was really hard for them to like get anything out of those games because of just how simply sweaty they are. And then I took them into like heavy hitters, and it was just a lot more fun. And it's kind of made me realize we need stuff like heavy hitters a lot more often to bring in new players because of how hard it is to get into the finals. That's cool.
Okay, that sounds like one of the most sane
the
takes.
opposite.
One of the most sane takes I've heard
Yeah.
all day. Average. What do you think?
Hell yeah, I've seen like many like brand new accounts basically while playing heavy hitters the large amount I did, like 100 kills or less, like just dead for the first time. They're having great fun. Like even in the chat, they're like just enjoying it. So I agree. Yeah, more fun modes would be way better, especially for like how this game is fundamentally structured. They can do those incredibly fun modes.
Typo in chat is saying a 24/7 rotating LTM queue. I'd be behind that. The really cool thing, I think something that's been lost a little bit over various seasons, were the quite light LTMs. The ones that weren't like whole new game modes, but there was that one that was just cowboy themed, where it was just a limited set of weapons and gadgets on Monaco, and it was just a normal cash out game, or maybe it was quick cash, I can't remember, but just that, but with, you know, model shotguns and revolvers and the I don't know, like just the simple weapons, anything pre 1900s basically. The recurve bow I think was in there as well. That might have been the season it was released. Maybe I'm getting
that was before that.
Yeah,
Sure,
that event was season 1 or 2. I'm pretty sure
that was another one though, wasn't there? There was a bow. There was a kind of medieval.
Was,
I mean, we've done medieval, haven't we? With
Bunny
with
Bash, I think.
Yeah, Bunny Bash. Like all of these LTMs.
Spotlight.
They have so many just in the back burner, and I would love to see them on a more constant rotation. Because I think you're right, Brisket, which I can't believe I'm saying that. I think you're right. We do need more kind of just accessibility to the super casual modes. Sugi, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only downside with adding something like a permanent LTM queue is game bloat. Which is half the reason why they removed a couple of modes originally.
That's true, yeah. We don't have bank
so I feel
anymore.
like, yeah, we don't have bank it, no head to head, and it's like,
is terminal attack in the game still?
No,
ages ago.
There's a whole lot that's already gone. Yeah, Point Break is kind of one of their big pushes that they made at the, you know, halfway through, or towards the end of last year. We've got this whole big new mode that is going to be permanent. That is a casual mode. It's meant to bring in Battlefield players essentially. I think it did a good job. It's very fun. There's people that still play a lot of Point Break.
Yeah, I like Point Break.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. But yeah, I do genuinely feel that yes, having LTM rotator would be cool. I feel like the issue therein lies with just like having an LTM queue is that you sort of lose a chunk of the player base that don't really want to interact with the rest of the game, which is why I don't really mind an LTM when it's around. I mean, if it's heavy hitters round 3, I may start to get a little bit like, okay,
well, we are on round 3, right?
Yeah.
We've had heavy hitters, and then heaven or else, and now we're on orbital hitters.
Yeah, so it's like I do feel like there could be a little bit more variety with the LTMs. Maybe add something new, like do something different, or bring back an LTM we haven't had in a while. As opposed to just doing heavy hitters 3 times.
I would gobble up the cowboy one again. I would love to have that again. That was one of my favorite
100%.
LTMs. Genuinely, it was so simple. But yeah. Well, I think we're all in agreement here. Honestly, you've united us, Brisket, with a common sense, sane take. So thank you very much for doing that.
A very cold take.
Very cold take, yeah. That's what we like the takes hot and cold. Yeah, what?
Who the hell put that for comment corner? Why did you have to put that in the bucket?
Brisket, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. We're going to see you maybe on the next show.
Have fun.
Unfortunately, we've lost connection with Brisket there. So that is not the end of the show. We're going to end with a quick quiz, but that is all of the callers done for today. So thank you very much if you called in. I know we've had a number of them off the top of my head. We had Gels, we had Cringy, Brisket, and we had Cody at the very start as well. I think that was it. So yeah, next time we'd love to have even more. But if you've enjoyed the idea of, or maybe that's kind of made you feel a bit less shy about the idea of coming on and talking to us. It's not always going to be Sugi and AverageMan. We're going to have different guests in the coming weeks. But either way, thank you so much for doing that. We are going to end with a quiz. And this is a very exciting quiz that I have concocted. And it is called Nope. It is called... Here we go. Which Reddit post title is a fake? Okay, so I have 3 Reddit posts here. Only 2 of them are real. And the other one I have made up. So, it is between you, Sugi, and AverageMan. You can take different guesses as well, actually. So, this is going to be a kind of head-to-head between the 2 of you. To decide which of these is fake. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to reveal all of them at once. Here we are. So, first Reddit post, and these are the titles of the Reddit posts. 3 years in, and we still don't have kill streak rewards. Brackets, like the UAV attack dogs. The second one. Explain to me why you shouldn't just leave a game when you're Seed 8. And then the last one. Why the anti-esport mindset on the subreddit is completely backwards. Bit of a wild one there. So, those are the 3 the r/the finals subreddit posts. These are all from within the last week. Oh, well, 2 of them are, and the other one is completely made up. So, what are your first thoughts? Let's start with you, Average. Is there anything that's just completely bullshit? What do you think?
Thinking about what the Reddit is, they're very not good at ranked respectfully. So the middle one, I feel like that's true because they see the state data, they're like, oh, I have no hope, I can't win anything. So the middle one has to be true. The anti-esport mindset one, I feel like the finals subreddit is very like anti-sport. They just like hate anything esports. Like, oh, it's killing the entire game, the esports scene. So I feel like that has to be the real one, right? Because
there are 2 real. There are 2 real. There's 1 fake.
Oh, there's 2 real, 1 fake.
2 real, 1 fake. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that's be the fake one because. But then if there's so many people that don't think that like esports is good for the game, then wouldn't there be a post that would say that the anti-sports mindset is backwards? But that makes too much sense to have a post like that.
Okay, Sugi. So Average is still trying to understand the thought process behind that last one in particular. What do you think? Sugi's stressing, says Brisket in chat, by the way.
No, because I know the Seed 8. I'm fairly certain I've seen the Seed 8 one.
Oh, yeah. This is also a test of how Reddit brained you are. How much do you frequent
this
the
is the
subreddit?
problem. I go to the subreddit as like my daily even trying to speak about the Reddit, I'm losing my brain cells. My daily dose about feeling better about myself, as much as that is like an evil thing to say. But I'm fairly certain the anti-esport mindset one is real.
Okay.
And I'm fairly certain the kill streak one is real as well. And I feel like the Seed 8 one is the fake one.
It just doesn't make sense, the Seed 8 thing, because it's like, I see Seed 8 and I think, well, then all I have to do is like
points.
Get some points. Yeah, you just get points. Like, that's great. I was complaining the other day because it kept seeding me when I was streaming, first or second, for about 2 hours straight. And I'm just like, I'm never going to gain points this way. Yes, it's a very weird one. Okay, I'm going to need final answers from both of you then. We'll start with you, Average. What are you locking in? What is the fake one?
The fake one is why the anti-sport mindset on the subreddit is completely backwards. The other 2 are real.
Okay, and Sugi, what do you think is the fake one?
Seed 8 is the fake one. It has to be the fake one.
Oh, well, boys, I can't believe it, but for the very first ever, whatever this segment is called, which Reddit post is fake, I have fooled both of you. 3 years in, and we still don't have kill streak rewards like the UAV attack dogs is the fake one that I made up. There are 2 real posts. Real posts. I will show you. I will show you them now. Explain to me why you shouldn't just leave a game when you are Seed 8 is a real Reddit post that was made like a few days ago. Here it is. Explain to me why you shouldn't just leave a game when you're Seed 8 by friendly_furniture. There is nothing to gain, nothing to learn when you literally get nothing out of staying. Why are there seeds to begin with? Isn't the point of a ranked system to evenly match the lobby? Even if I want to improve, I'm not going to instantly gain the ability to 3v1 over and over again because the seed system means not only you're And then he gets mad against the devs and also mentions Claude rewriting the matchmaking into a better system than whatever we have right now. It's just gold. It's absolute gold, this post. But yes, absolutely real. And the other one is an actual real post on the subreddit, which I like. It's completely anti-subreddit meta.
Yeah.
Why the anti-esports men's mindset on this subreddit is completely backwards. I threw this in because I was like, I'm gonna have to kind of throw you guys off with what sounds like a sane take. But the problem with this post, and the reason I wanted to include it, is it has the right overall message, right? Is that people on this subreddit should be, a little bit more forgiving, a little bit more accepting of the esport. I think that's true. But the way in which this fucker goes about talking about it is unhinged. This is Factor Week 6735. Hi there, if you're watching, by the way. He's made this. He's taken time out of his day to make a lovely image. This sub every time they manage to get a single kill and a quick catch with a flamethrower before writing a 10-paragraph essay. What on the white esports is doing the game. Very funny pitch. But look how much he fucking writes. I've been reading the balanced discussions here for a while, and the constant hostility towards the competitive community is just exhausting. It genuinely feels like a large portion of this subreddit actively roots against this game having a successful esports scene, and it makes zero sense. Good so far. Some of us actually do care about the competitive ceiling of the finals. I've been following the scene since PHL Season 0. I watch scrims and tournaments because I want to learn the game, understand high-level coordination, and actually improve. Okay, I understand you're setting up your acumen. You're starting to sound a little bit kind of high and mighty now. The competitive scene showcases the absolute peak of raw mechanical aim, macro rotations, and split-second decision-making. Okay, now we're really getting into, like, curse you peasants who enjoy the casual shit. Meanwhile, it feels like only the loudest voices demanding balance changes are not playing nothing but quick cash and running loadouts like the MGL, Flamethrower, Sword, and CL40. Oh no. So, okay. If people on the subreddit hate esports, and this is their reference point, I don't fucking blame them. This guy should not be our flag bearer, please. It's terrifying. If you only want to play casual modes, that is perfectly fine. Have fun. But the narrative that high-level players are destroying the game needs to stop. That's fair. Yeah, so it kind of like swings back and forth between sanity and like, a little bit high and mightiness, which is just very funny. And then there's a following edit about the replies. Which is just even more angry. But yeah, Reddit. What a wonderful place. What an absolutely beautiful place that people spend their time on. And I can't believe I fooled you guys. What was so believable about the attack dogs thing, by the way?
The thing is I've heard stupider and crazier suggestions. I've heard that every weapon in this game should be a projectile. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
we had some weirder takes.
autos.
We had weirder takes
Yeah.
from callers today, so I'm not too fussed about
What else? What else have I heard? I've heard all guns should be projectile. I've heard the overall movement speed needs to be decreased. For everyone, for every class. Yeah, I've heard some like completely backwards, just genuinely insane takes to the point where that one just sounded a little too unbelievable.
Well, it's too believable, apparently, to you. So,
But too
yeah.
believable and too unbelievable, you know?
Yeah. All right. And yeah, Average. What do you think about
Yeah,
all of
it's
that?
just-
Those ones being real. First of all,
It's so insane that, well, the second one, yeah, that definitely makes sense because Reddit is just casual as fuck. The third one, again, I'm like, I
says the number one heavy hitters player in the world. By the way, continue.
Other achievements, okay.
Yeah, no,
The first one as well
I'm
was
sorry,
just
I'm
something
retconning
that-
your achievements with
because-
Knives Hammer Brisket now. You're no longer a pro player, you're an ex-pro who is now a casual player. Like, that is
Let's see.
that's why you're here.
Well, obviously
You're
valid,
representing the casual audience. So be careful what you say about Reddit, but do continue ripping into them.
The first one's just, yeah, so incredibly insane that it just sounds like Reddit. I have heard the most wild takes there, it just sounds normal.
You know what? That warms my heart that I was able to impersonate the average Redditor so well. In fact, it maybe is a little worrying how well I've deceived both of you. Yeah. That's what happens when you spend your time scrolling Reddit to find out what the most insane takes are is that you kind of absorb it, and suddenly you can just put yourself in the mind of them very quickly. Anyway, enough slagging off Redditors. I do appreciate that it has a place in the community, and I do love seeing it every now and then. But yeah, it is, as Sugi said, sometimes a place. It's kind of like watching one of those horrible shows on Channel 4 or Channel 5 that happen during the daytime. It's like, oh my god, this person's house is a mess. Thank god I'm not like that. That is the vibe I get from it quite a lot. Yeah. We all know the kind. Well, that is just about it for Preach the Finals. This has actually gone about as long as I thought it might. Much longer than my initial run of show sort of suggested, because I was like, oh yeah, we'll be done with these discussions in like 5 minutes. But 90 minutes is a perfect time if you ignore the starter. My false starter accidentally appeared on stream that won't appear in the VOD for this, because I'm going to trim that out. But yeah. Thank you very much. Average, Sugi, you've been an absolute pleasure to come on here and yap with. Have you got anything you would like to say before we leave? Perhaps addressing Brisket. I don't know. You can tell Brisket one thing that you've always thought about him that you've never found the right platform to, and this is that.
You need a forensic psychiatrist. Please get one.
I don't want to delve into that. I don't want to understand it. But I'm sure he does. Maybe he doesn't. You do, at least. That's what matters. Sugi, anything?
Not really anything I want to say other than buy the Unfazed bundle when it comes into the store, or whatever we're called when we eventually get signed and when we qualify major. So buy the Unfazed bundle when it comes out. Always a shameless self-plug.
Excellent opportunity to shameless self-plug there. And yeah, good luck with whatever it is. I know obviously you're probably got orgs clamoring to get you your hot property, but we'll see that, and I can't wait for the surprise whenever that is. So thank you very much again, Sugi and Average. Thank you everyone in chat that has been here for the whole time, and all of our callers that came by. This went so much better than I expected. I have one apology, which is that I promised there would be a soundboard, and I didn't have time to set it up, and I absolutely am going to have that soundboard set up for the next show. It's close to my heart, the idea of being able to play random fart sounds and like quotes. Like I really want to have the Palmer fuck you and all this shit just ready to go while people are in calls, because that's what's going to elevate this to the next level. But yeah, there's a couple of people I want to thank as well. Despite the fact that they haven't done much for this thing, in particular, I want to give a quick shout out to Enigma, who has been just helping me out with Discord stuff, and is going to be doing a lot to help make my Discord channel, which has just been released or unsheathed into the world. I don't know what I want to call it. You can join the Discord now, and it won't be an absolute hellhole, because Enigma is there helping me put bots together and make things work. So I want to thank him in advance and already for the help he's provided. Everyone else I want to thank, you've just seen, because I basically did all this myself, so I'm very happy and proud of my accomplishment. That's why I offer a heartfelt thank to myself throughout this trying time. I've been a real shoulder to lean on. Apart from that, also big shout out to Perzone for the huge raid. If you're still here and you were part of the Perzone crew, huge, just massive thanks, because I'm glad that there's been a big enough audience to really make this feel lively. Chat, you've been fantastic. I'm going to go now. I've talked too much. I've talked like 90 minutes straight. Thank you very much for coming along. This is going to be a bi-weekly series, so come along in a couple of weeks' time. We'll have new guests, and I think at least one of them will be an American. We'll see how that goes. That's not a promise, but it's a very high likelihood. Anyway, let me just make sure that everything is tickety-boo for the sign-off, because I have buttons I need to press. Yes, it is. Everything's good. All right, thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you in a few weeks for the next Preach the Finals.